G'day tubers. This trip was going to be a learning exercise for me, trying out my new Furuno unit and learning how to use it and get the best out of it. I was also going to record the screen and show you guys all about it. Unfortunately, that part of it was a bit of a disaster. I bought this new USB stick, one of those little high-tech tiny ones with a little bead on the end that holds all the memory instead of the normal long stick that's about 50mm long. And it overheated and fried the inside. I don't know whether that's inherent in those tiny sticks or whether I just happened to get a bad one. But in any event, I lost all the footage that I had. I had a lot of it. It was really good. So, sorry about that. I'll go through with what I can from the hat cam, but the footage there isn't great and you can't see some of the things that I was trying to demonstrate. I'll show you what I have got some reasonable footage on. Over a period of time, I'll recreate some of the other stuff. I'm not going to go out and do another whole day of training on it, but over a period of videos, I'll demonstrate some of the other features, and they are great. But for now, let's just look at what I've got. This is how an autopilot should work. It sounded an alarm, telling me it was about to go to the waypoint, and then it just went ahead and turned onto the next leg of the course. That's the auto in Autopilot. I should not have to do anything for it to do that. And it's perfectly safe what I'm doing at this speed. If you want to travel flat out, if you've got a boat that really flies at 40 knots, then if you can afford that, you need to invest in the Yamaha or Suzuki engine controls that interface with the Furuno, so it automatically slows the boat down for the turns. Personally, I can't afford a boat that fast, so I'm happy with this. It works beautifully for me and exactly the way I want it to. Well, that was impressive. I just gave it a burst at full speed and the new Furuno transducer held the bottom perfectly. Got a lot of clutter in it, but it still held the bottom, and that was the important bit. The Hummingbird held it pretty well until it got over 20 knots. Then it lost it. But that's okay, that's a lot better than it was. I've got that nearly perfect now. I don't really need it to hold bottom over 20 knots. Most especially if I can rely on this one doing it. So, passes that test. Looks like my fairing, a homemade fairing for that transducer is working well. So yeah, pretty happy with it. This is what I've got going over the Tiwi Pearl. I only took this on the hat cam just to give me a cue point to find it on the main video. Unfortunately, without the main video, this is the best I've got. However, I will say that while you can't actually see the details of the wreck like you could on some other sonars that I've used, this definitely does show there's something down there and gives you the overall shape of it. The reason for this is that the Furuno uses a much lower frequency than the other sonars do. Like the Hummingbird, it uses a very high frequency. The Hummingbird gives you much closer to a picture perfect image in shallow water, but the Furuno will penetrate deep, whereas the Hummingbird won't. And that's the difference. I think the Furuno gives a really good image, good enough for what I want when I'm fishing, and the fact that it goes deep lets me use it out offshore as well, whereas the Hummingbird is quite useless when you get offshore. It's a shallow water sounder, and that's why I have it. The 3D view is a pretty good image of the wreck. It shows the orientation of the ship very well. I can tell it's a ship because I know there's a ship down there. I guess you could say that if you thought it was a big long rock, you could think it was a big long rock. Although you can see some superstructure there and everything, it shouldn't be too hard to work out what it is. It is, of course, much easier when you look at it on a sounder that gives you an image, very high frequency sounder, but as I said a minute ago, they don't show anything in deep water. I think this is a great compromise. And this is just showing off the Accufish function. I had some much better images of this in the main video, which I lost on the USB when it fried itself. But this shows the Accufish. I'm not so sure I like the little cartoon fish pictures, but it gives you the size of the fish. It's measured it by taking a differential on 2 frequencies on the sounder, and it's worked out these fish down here a bit over a metre, say 1.2, 1.3 metres, nearly 1.4 metres, one of them I think. It's a bit hard to tell because I've had to zoom in on the image off the hat cam and it's gotten a little bit blurry. At a guess, if that sizing is right, I'd say probably a few tuna hanging around down there. I've caught tuna at Harry's before. There may be a setting to turn off the little cartoon fish and just have the normal arch showing along with the estimate of size. I haven't found it yet, but I am still looking to see if that's available. A little while after that, I came across some fish sitting on the bottom. The Accufish measurement said they were between 41 and 48 centimetres. I've got it set so it doesn't show me anything below 40 centimetres. I don't want to know about anything smaller than that. So anyway, I thought I'd drop a line down and see if I could catch something, expecting to pull up a snapper or something like that, a squire at that smaller size, and just see how accurate the Accufish was on its measurement. Okay, we'll see what we've got down there now. Ah, crap! I didn't get the landing net ready either. Oh, Jesus, bloody big grinner! Bloody big grinner. Well, not what I really wanted. Cut him up for burley. Oh, geez. Did not expect that. How big are you? See how accurate our things are. 45. It's pretty accurate. It just needs to be able to tell me the species of fish that's down there now. That's missing. Hats off to its accuracy so far. I'll see how it goes in future episodes, but just for this one, pretty impressed. And it's just worth noting that because I've got Accufish set to not show me anything below 40 centimetres, there can be a lot of these fellas on the bottom, and I don't even know they're there on the sounder. Not that they're the sort of thing I want to know about anyway. I've got the Autopilot in fish hunter mode now, and I'm doing what they call the figure 8 pattern, but I sort of expected that was going to be like a 4-leaf clover from the illustration when you select it. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but that's it there. However, it's actually more like a flower petal pattern. It splits it up into segments, 1, 2, 3, 4. I reckon the 6 or 8 segments it's going to do in a figure 8. You can see it there, the flower pattern. One arm, the opposite arms there. And I reckon you fit another 3 in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7. That'll make 14 petals altogether around the flower. That is one good mode for really covering the ground around a waypoint. If you know the waypoint has usually got fish near it, I reckon this mode is probably one of the best for finding them. If the fish are likely to be further away from the waypoint, then there are other modes that would probably work better. But I really like this one if you know that the fish are going to be close by, and in this particular case around the foul ground, they usually are. They were this morning, earlier. The tide's running pretty hard now and they've disappeared, which is my experience usual out here.
Woo, that's got one this time. Oh, let go. Shit. No, he didn't. He bit the hook off. Bugger. Oh, that's the big ones. He wasn't very helpful. I don't know, I think that knot might have broken actually. A little bit more weight, or a little bit less weight. I'll go with 2 4-balls on this instead of the 110 that I've got on it. If I'm missing anything in between, I think the sticks would be good, but I've run out, so we make do. Very easy to change the weight on your line with these things. Yeah, I don't know what I got on here, but having a run. Bloody hell, it's having a run. Let's put a little bit more. Shit. Got off. Oh, I didn't put that much more drag on it either. I had a low drag setting on it and only put maybe another pound. Mine should have been more than capable of taking that. Still got something on the end, so maybe just pull the hook. A dolphin there too. Oh, that was it. Bloody hell, that was a big one. Way too big for this rod. Would have been fun to fight him a bit longer though. I bit the hook off. Bit the bottom of the hook. That's what it was. Damn, heavy a litre. Much heavier litre. Alright, I'll get this other one back in and then might put one of the heavy leaders on that one and have another go with a pilly. The whole purpose of the expedition was to learn how to use the new sounder, and I hadn't intended to do any fishing, but I couldn't help myself. I had to see if that Accufish was right, so I had a bit of a fish. Pulled up a lot of small fish that weren't showing on the sounder, so I've explained that that was because I had the Accufish set to show me anything over 40 centimetres. So I didn't know the small fish were down there. Of course, obviously they are. If there's big fish, there's small fish and vice versa. I hooked up a couple of decent sized fish. One of them, the line snapped at the knot. It was a uni knot. I think I might have to experiment with different brands of line because the one I'm using snaps a lot at the knot. And a guy told me that that's a characteristic of that brand. So I might have to try a few different brands. See if I can find something that's a bit better in that area. And that last one that went for such a short past run, I hooked him up on a rod that had 20-pound braid on it, 20-pound leader. I would have loved to have landed him. I saw a fish jump just after he bit the hook off, and I think that might have been him or one of his mates. It looked like a tuna. I was hoping that I got it on the hat cam, so I could have had a good look at it, but unfortunately I didn't capture it there. The shape of it looked like a tuna, and I saw it jump. The run was like a tuna, so that's what I'm going with. It was a tuna, I think. Anyway, very happy with the performance of the Furuno itself. Quite devastated that the setup I had to record the screen didn't work. Or, well, I think it did work, but the USB stick let me down. That fried itself. So that was very unfortunate and quite devastating. I didn't get that. But never mind, I'll get a new USB stick. Better design that hopefully won't fry itself. And we'll get some good videos out of this yet. Until then, Good fishing.